Hey guys, all this month I'm going to be featuring interviews with owners of FLGSs, or Friendly Local Game Shops. I wanted to feature interviews with game shop owners because these shops often serve as a hub for the D&D community and students alike. They are so open to families, a lot of them are run by families themselves. And with so many kids playing at their friendly local game shops, you can bet they've got a wealth of knowledge on how to dungeon master and manage games involving kids. First up, though, Kathleen Donahue of Labyrinth Game Shop, an old favorite of mine in Washington, D.C., right there in the Capitol Hill neighborhood. So we'll let Kathleen go ahead and take it away and show us some great tips on dungeon mastering and playing D&D with kids especially. Kathleen Donahue, thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
You're an owner of a game store in Washington, D.C. Why don't you tell us a little bit about Labyrinth?
Oh, okay. Well, I own Labyrinth Games and Puzzles in Washington, D.C., which is on Capitol Hill. We're about 6.5 blocks from the U.S. Capitol. Nice neighborhood. I love my neighborhood. I started the store 10 years ago in 2010. It's actually going to be our 10th anniversary in a month. And we started mainly, it was kind of my idea to bring families really together in a non-electronic, non-screen type of way. And I've always loved games and especially puzzles. I really love puzzles. And so I kind of had the idea of a store which catered to our highly educated population in Washington, D.C., both the families and the kids, but also the adults, because there are a lot of, at least people who think they're very smart in Washington, D.C. But I thought, we could sell wooden puzzles and it would be great gifts for all the attorneys downtown. And I thought games, Dungeons and Dragons, Magic, but also board games and educational games would be really great for our kind of Capitol Hill population that they're very outgoing, they're very social type people. And I thought we spend too much time online, which has really changed this year, right? Like we can't have game nights anymore in the store, and now we're all doing it on Zoom. And the world has changed drastically in a year, and we're trying to keep up now.
Yeah.
But yeah, we've been pretty successful for 10 years, and now we're just trying to adapt to the new realities. We're running D&D online, and we're running Magic. Tonight's one of our Commander tournaments online, and yeah, it's been very different, but my passion is learning through games. So we've always been very, very focused on games in education, or how to use games in educational formats.
Awesome. I actually lived in DC. I know exactly what you're talking about. People really do need to disconnect every once in a while in DC. Speaking of, one of the best birthdays I ever had, my wife took me to your shop and we bought this game, which we still have today.
It's a great
a,
game.
a couple of history nerds buying a card game about the French Revolution. We bought the game, took my little less than 1 year old son down the road, and we sat at a pizza shop and played for over an hour.
With the little guillotine set up and everything.
Yep. We put the little guillotine box up. It was great.
I remember when my son was 6 or 7, I went to visit my mom in Florida, and we were sitting outside on the patio playing guillotine, and he was like, "I'm going to chop your head off," or something. And my mom comes out, she's like, "What are you doing with this like 6-year-old kid?" And I'm like, "I'm teaching him about the French Revolution. It's fine. He knows Marie Antoinette is worth a lot of points. It's okay."
Oh, we still love this game though. It is so fun.
Yeah, it's a great game.
And, I mean, that's the kind of thing that stores like yours do. They create these opportunities to engage with family and friends. And it's still, like I said, one of the favorite memories I have is walking
Well,
into your
that's really
store,
great.
picking out a game and just going to a pizza shop and playing with my wife, with my son in a high chair, just eating pizza. So That
Yeah.
was so
That's
fun.
one of the best things I think about owning the store is just the stories that I hear from our customers and how much we mean to our customers. It was really funny because when the whole quarantine started, they closed us down, and we're still kind of operating weirdly right now. We can only let 6 to 8 people in the store at a time. And people, when they're coming back, they're like, I'm a little bit emotional to be back in the store. And it's funny that a place, just a retail store can cause that kind of thing. But because we did so many events and because we really, really value that attachment to our community and bringing people together, I think it's a little bit more than a store sometimes.
Hmm. So what kinds of things do you do for the community specifically? Programs you have, events that you run?
Well, in the normal times, we do over 700 events a year. So in regular times, we run D&D regularly, both for adults and kids. We run Magic the Gathering 2 to 3 times a week, both for adults and kids. We have board game nights every Thursdays. We do a wide variety of events on weekends, tournaments, but also learn to play activities. We do lots of parties. I like parties. I like celebrating. So, anytime there's something to celebrate, I'll celebrate it. We've done puzzle classes. We run a ton of birthday parties. We usually have between 3 and 5 birthday parties a weekend. And then the other kind of outreaching stuff is during normal times when schools are in session and we're not remote learning, we go to between 12 and 14 schools a semester, and we run after school game clubs. We've run a Pokemon club. We've run some D&D for schools. We've run board game. Most of the classes are strategic board game classes that we run at the schools. But then we also do a ton of other kind of special events with local schools, churches, community groups, all kinds of things. And we'll do kind of family game nights at the big schools. We do a lot of that just for free. We'll go into the school and we'll do game nights for 200, 300 people. And we really focus that around education. So a lot of times we go into the Capitol Hill Cluster School and they have everything from preschool up through middle school. So we'll have different tables working on different skills so that parents can come and learn the games and do things like that. So yeah, we do a lot of stuff. As we've changed right now, obviously we can't run as many events and we can't have any in-store play, but we're still running. I think we're running 5 to 6 games a week of kids D&D, and we're running Magic Commander tournaments regularly with webcams. We just did a couple pre-releases for the new Magic set, and we were running some board gaming online, like over webcam. But it's pretty hard to do board games on webcams and have it fun. Although we have done some special stuff. We started a Twitch channel. So I'm live streaming on Twitch now, which is something I
Oh,
never in a billion years thought I would do. So every Wednesday night from 5:30 to 6:30, we're doing a game schooling Twitch, where we're looking at different things. Tomorrow night, we're having Jim Moran, who's the game designer of Election Night, on, and we're all going to play Election Night and learn it. And it's a very mathy, civics-based geography type game. So we're going to do that. We've done math, we've done storytelling games, things like that. On Thursday nights, I missed playing games really bad, so now I'm making the staff play games with me on Twitch on Thursday nights, so it's kind of a recreation of board game night. And then every other Sunday, Camilla and I are running some kind of role-playing game, like Sunday role-playing games. We played the new Fiasco a couple weeks ago, and then last Sunday we did a world building scenario because I've never DM'd an RPG before. I've played in lots of them, but I've never DM'd one. So we world built using a pack of magic cards. We used a Throne of Eldraine magic pack, and we built this world and prepped for a game that I'm going to run in 2 weeks on Twitch for the first time. So it'll be fun.
awesome, awesome.
But it'll be fun. People can go back and look at it. Anything that we're doing on Twitch, we're going and we're saving 1 week later on our YouTube channel. So all of this will be out there on our YouTube channel.
All right. So it sounds like you're still pretty involved in your Dungeons and Dragons community. And of course, with our program here, we focused on Dungeons and Dragons specifically. And you mentioned that you work with kids playing Dungeons and Dragons. How does that look? How does that go?
Oh, we started doing it years ago. I don't even remember when. Probably one of the first years we were open, we started running D&D for kids. Um, I wanted to do it because my son was younger and he has a learning disability with writing. And he really always struggled with writing and storytelling and things like that. But he loves games. So I actually kind of started it and made my staff run D&D for my kid. But we had tons of other people in the neighborhood who wanted to participate. So that's kind of how we started it. And we quickly found that if you get a whole bunch of 10-year-old boys and girls in a room, all they want to do is kill one another. They're very bloodthirsty. It was an interesting challenge for our DMs to try and lead kids in these games and make it a meaningful thing and not just player on player violence. I remember one time this girl like pushed my son's character off the roof and like they were fighting like cats and dogs, and I'm like, okay, wait, no. So we actually, and you should talk to him one day. I was following another game store owner who's up in Canada, who owns a store way out in the middle of nowhere. His name's Rob Gruber, and he does this thing that's the Hawthorne, something of a Hawthorne. I don't remember exactly the details. I can find it for you later. But he does this amazing thing where he has kind of this whole community, and it's a little bit more like running a West March campaign where there's this whole world and all the different games or episodes in it. And he made it be to where he kind of adapted D&D to where they didn't level up or they didn't get XP or whatever unless they were heroic. And so Camilla, who runs our RPG department, and I started thinking about it. How could we do something like that to really encourage the kids for role playing and like the heroism or working together and the teamwork that we wanted to build in these kids? So we actually created a program called the Guild of Heroes. And ours is kind of similar. We have this world, and we actually do seasons so that the kids don't level up too quickly. So we'll have usually about once a quarter, maybe once every half a year, we start with new seasons, and the story arc kind of changes. But they're usually in this world, and they're all these guild members, and you have to get accepted to the guild by playing heroically. And then once you're in the guild, you get to create your own character. You get, when we play in story, you get a little mini, and then you can level up and gain experience points. But all gold and all magic items and all of that is owned cooperatively by the guild. So when the kids start a game, they get to go into the guild armory and take out what they want, or they get to pick one magical items from the guild's kind of hold. And it's a way that we can give the kids things in games without it becoming a he got this and she got that or thing. So we kind of, and then the guild holds the money. So if they want to buy something when they're first starting or something, they have to get guild approval to do it and things like that. And all the kids have to work together.
Definitely taking notes on that one.
Yeah, it's really fascinating, and it's worked really, really well for us to be able to control the kind of murder hobo-ness of preteens and teen kids.
Yep, or adults.
Yeah, maybe we should make the Guild of Heroes our adult game too.
That sounds like it could work.
But like we have like a whole oath that they have to, when they get inducted into the guild, they have to say this oath that's all about how they're doing good for man. And yeah, it's really fun.
Because I've got quite a few murder hobos in my game for 20 to 30 somethings, and that would definitely help.
Yeah.
What's the feedback you get from the community and the kids with these types of D&D games?
The kids and the parents love it. I mean, our D&D games are one of the fastest sellouts. That's why we keep adding more. We're up to about 6 games a week now. But But and now when school starts, it falls a little bit because school is so weird right now. And
Mhm.
unfortunately, with us having to do them over Zoom right now, the kids are getting a little bit zoomed out. So, but it still works really well over Zoom. So that's been one of the ways that we can keep the kids engaged, and the parents love it because it's not just sitting there watching somebody talk, it's the kids interacting. And my staff now has years of experience running with kids, so they're really good at even kids who have learning disabilities or who really struggle sometimes with traditional classrooms really bloom in a situation where they get to fight an oozy monster or something.
I find I've run a game for middle school students, and I find it brings a lot of kids like out of their shell is
Oh
the best
yeah,
way to
for
put it.
sure. Definitely. I mean, we still have the problem that a lot of people of the kids talk over one another because they get so excited. But
Hmm.
I it's amazing to me to see kids who are very socially awkward really start, especially with the encouragement of getting magical items or experience points or whatever by being heroic. They really start thinking, oh, maybe I shouldn't just burn this library down and I should go talk to that librarian or whatever the case may be. We also are very big about having in-game consequences. So if somebody goes up and shoots a villager in the face or, steals from somebody, they go to jail and they sit there for a while and don't get to play for a little while. So we're very big about in-game consequences. And I find that the kids really after a couple games start working together, and the teamwork that they're developing and the creativity for problem solving is amazing.
Yeah, yeah. Do you run any other kinds of events outside of just regular gameplay? Have you hosted like mini painting events, DM training? I know you mentioned training.
Yeah, we did. Well, we did kind of more for adults, the world building thing on Twitch the other day, but we have done, we did kind of a meet and greet for DMs and players before, and we did what we called a RPG smorgasbord kind of thing where we had DMs run short half an hour games so that people could jump around to different tables and play with different DMs and different systems so that a lot of people could try things, and then they got to kind of set up their own groups or like work out. Like I think it was a great way for other people in the community who were looking for players and DMs to try a lot of different things. We have done some DM training with the kids. We regularly run camps, week-long camps, especially during the summer and sometimes at Christmas break or on spring break. And usually the camp will have a dungeon crawl section where all of the kids will build. We have those tile map boards that you can kind of put together as puzzle pieces. So
Hmm.
everybody has to build one puzzle piece, and then we put them all together to make a huge dungeon. And then each kid runs their own room. So we've had that where we've helped them kind of do map building things. And always part of the camp is always miniature painting. So everybody gets miniatures, especially a lot of them will do monsters for the Guilds of Heroes. So we'll save all of our monster minis for a camp, and then the kids get to paint all of the NPCs and monsters and stuff.
Awesome. That sounds fun.
Yeah, it's fun because
Um,
then they have a little piece of them in the Guild of Heroes.
yeah. What is your outreach like as far as finding new players, engaging with the community and bringing them in?
Um, a lot of it is social media. We post a lot. I repost articles about the educational value of role playing games and Dungeons and Dragons, particularly. We have run other games. For example, we're running a game for younger kids right now called No Thank You Evil. And we actually built it. It's a Saturday morning game for younger children from 5 to 10. And we're using No Thank You Evil because it's a very, very simple system, and you don't even really need to read all that much to play it. But we're basing it on the Magic Treehouse and Magic School Bus kind of stories. So it's a very, very educational. Last week they went on a mission to the moon. The week before they went to the Amazon. This week they're going to the deep sea and exploring deep sea and trying to help, I don't know, something. some kind of octopus. I think the DM really wanted them to have octopi. But yeah, so we started running that. And a lot of that was I emailed a bunch of my mom friends and just said, hey, tell everybody that we're doing this. And, kids love Magic Treehouse. So that was really exciting. But yeah, and then a lot of it is the schools, because we're so entwined with a lot of the local schools. I can send something to the principals at the different schools and they'll email it out to their lists or their listservs or things like that. But yeah, and usually when the store is going, people will just see the kids playing and they're like, oh my God, that's so cute. And then, they're like, my kid could do that. And then they sign up.
Now, speaking of the schools, now there is a lot of buy-in from the schools in bringing students to your community. Has that been, is that one of the biggest draws for you as far as getting kids into these groups?
I think it's one of them for sure. Yeah, I do. Our educational outreach is very, very critical for the store, but in a marketing sense, and also just because it's important to me. I think that I was very lucky. I think it's very hard. I think me being a mom and having a kid in the school system, when I opened the store, my son was 6. So, and he tended to go to lots of schools. He didn't really like school very much. So he went to several of them. So I knew people at a lot of schools. And I think when we first opened, I had a teacher come in who was a really well-known science teacher in the neighborhood, and she just fell in love with the games. So we actually wrote a big grant to get games into her science classroom to do kind of habits of mind forming and inquiry-based learning through games. And so part of that grant was that we went in and taught all the teachers how to use the games, but then they taught us all the academic kind of notes that we could hit with them. So that was what got me really fascinated with learning with games. And we worked for years on that and ended up doing professional development for DCPS teachers and things like that. So I think that's kind of where it grew. And then just our community has made it grow more and more.
So it's safe to say that a local game store becomes way more than just a place to buy games and products. You guys really do invest in your community.
I think it depends on the store.
Well, I know yours really, really takes pride in investing in its community.
I think that's the most important. It was really funny. I was on a panel at the Atlantic a couple years ago for small businesses, and I was up there with a bunch of guys who run, businesses in DC, and a lot of them were very focused on venture capital and getting the financing and the funding. And I'm like, I don't even really care if I make money. I just want to give back to the community. And they're like, you're lying. That's not true. And I'm like, no, really? I mean, it's nice. It's kind of a game, right? Profiting is winning. But I think the fundamental importance to me starting this business was supporting the community.
Awesome.
Which I think is not normal, probably, but
well, right now I'm working this for free, so I know how it feels.
Yeah, I didn't get paid for 3 years, but now I get paid a little bit. I don't know about this year. I probably won't get paid this year, but
it's a tough year to have any kind of brick and mortar store right now.
It has been very tough, yes.
We wish you the best. Why don't you tell us how we can find you physically, online, however?
Okay, well, the website for the store is labyrinthgameshop.com. We started an online store and we're shipping all over the country. I've even done some shipping to Hawaii. We have our Twitch is twitch.tv/labyrinth.dc. Instagram and Twitter are both at Labyrinth DC, and Facebook is Labyrinth Game Shop. But yeah, we're online. We use a lot of social media. We post pictures on Instagram a lot. I'm on Facebook a lot, and a lot of our RPG players are on Twitter, though. We do a lot of role-playing content on Twitter because it seems like that's where our audience is for that. But yeah, shop our store and support us. I appreciate it.
Awesome. Well, Kathleen, thank you so much. And I appreciate you taking the time to sit down and talk with us and tell us about your shop.
Oh, thank you. And it was really nice to see you again.
I
I hope
know, it was
you're doing
awesome.
well out there.
Yeah, yeah, likewise. So you guys have a good time and we'll be seeing you soon.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you again to Kathleen Donahue for taking the time to talk to us and tell us about Labyrinth there in Washington, D.C. I remember I have a lot of fond memories there, playing with friends, taking my family. We had a great time every time we went there. So if you have the chance, go and check them out. We'll put a link to their website in the description below. Next week, I'll be doing an interview with my own local game shop right here in Hilo, Hawaii, Game Escape. So be sure to check that out. We'll see you on another episode of Saturday Morning More Tunes coming up this Saturday. And we hope that you all, as always, have fun and learn lots. Thank you.